Is David Sachs stepping down, crashing the crypto markets? Is there more here to break down? We're going to get it all into it today. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that, of course, is Tangem. This is where you guys can get into self-custody. And right now, with everything that's happening with Clarity, this is probably a good item to do, and that is diversify your assets across a lot of different places. Self-custody is one of those. Get into your own secure crypto hardware wallet. Works with your phone. Very easy to set up, and one of the best ones out there. You guys, of course, can use our link to get a little bit of a discount. Get started in self-custody. Check it out over on Tangem.com. I've got Tim Warren coming in from Tim Warren Trades, and we're going to dive into it today. Tim, how are you?
Doing good, man. Getting these dips. I thought we were going to get a little more of a rally before these dips happened, but can't complain. I was ready for it, and I'm already starting to make some moves on it.
All right, well, you got David Sachs' term as President Trump's crypto and AI czar ending. And of course, none other than SBF wanting to jump in on this one. What do you think? You like that? This guy just won't
hats
let it
off
go.
to him for keeping some humor in the situation, but no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. What do you make of Sachs? I mean, there's two camps out there right now. Some say he's stepping down. You know, his time's up. He's happy with Clarity, and we're going to get a good Clarity bill or a Clarity bill, and he thinks that's the run. Then there are others that go a different angle. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, so some people are going to say he didn't really get a whole lot accomplished. I don't think I'm in camp. You can't put this all on David Sachs. I'm not going to say David Sachs was perfect. He was the epitome of perfection in this world, but it's still Washington, D.C. And there's still gridlock, and there's still people that make your lives miserable in the world of politics. So to say that he was unsuccessful in getting everything passed is not completely true. I think the only places I would potentially say criticism is fair. I don't think I can blame him for the Clarity Act. That has to do a lot with gridlock. Why have we not officially audited the Bitcoin holdings in the U.S. government is something I feel like he could have gotten done. So I think if you're gonna criticize him, I would go with the audit point. But anyone criticizing him for not getting the Clarity Act bill passed on time doesn't really check the logic box. That really wasn't in his hands completely. He got the language going. I still think there's as the reports are saying, they're still at the table negotiating, the banks and the CEOs of these crypto companies. We just don't know. Are we going to get that May approval, or are we waiting? Actually, I'm not going to say waiting till the fall. I'm going to say if we don't get it in May or shortly after May, Paul, I don't know where you're sitting. We might not get it for the next couple of years. But I wouldn't put that on David Sachs. I would put that on Washington, D.C. can be one of the dumbest and most frustrating places in the world at times.
Well, yes. But I look at it in the sense of if Trump was going to fire someone, if things weren't going to roll out here, and Trump was going to fire somebody, it would be Sachs, because he's not firing Tim Scott. Who in D.C. would you say is the point person for crypto right now, or at least that would be looked at and saying, hey, the reason Clarity didn't get through is because Tim Scott didn't get it across the line? What would you say?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The issue with Sachs is his timeline ran up. So he wasn't fired. He had a certain amount of days he could serve.
130-day government, because he's, an individual can play. Timing is interesting here, but he did move to Trump's advisory council. So he's still going to be shaping a little bit of this. But, I mean, he could easily have just become a government employee. Why wouldn't he have not say, hey, no, I've got work left to do. Or there's others out there saying, hey, the bottom's getting ready to lock in, and this may be an opportunity for him to jump back into the market, because this is an entrepreneur as well. So I don't know. There's just there's a lot here, but I think it is on him, as it would be on any bureaucrat that can't get Congress in line. If Congress is at fault, then we can already see that, but we can't fire them. We can only vote them out. This kind of role can be set up and said, all right, your services are no longer needed. We just didn't have the right person at the right time. So I don't know if that's the case. Obviously, there's a lot yet to be really pointed at. You've got, crypto Twitter right now is just absolutely livid. And it seems like there's multiple camps. You have the camp of anti-Coinbase. You have the camp of anti-Congress. Then you have the camp of what we're dealing with that is more pro, whether it is the big crypto companies and all of the surrounding companies that most likely will benefit from clarity just getting through at the sacrifice of yields. What do you make of that right now in terms of how Twitter is looking at this?
Yeah, the way I've seen it, Paul, and I think you've seen it as well, is the camp of, is the Clarity Act a good thing or is it a terrible thing? So you see the phrase right now, and I'm sure your comment section have it too, because my comment sections have no bill is better than a bad bill, right? So it's this concept of we want to keep crypto pure to its decentralized ways. We don't want the bill to pass with the current language that would ban like yield returns on passive holdings. I understand both sides, right? I understand people who say that no bill is better than a bad bill. I understand some people who are frustrated with Brian Armstrong saying, let's just get this going. We've been stalled now for what seems like years, especially the altcoin realm, and they're just ready to see things go up. I'll put it this way, like a part of me really wishes that crypto could stay what it was originally in that decentralized world. But I also live in a world of reality where that was not inevitable. I think that crypto has neared, I'm not gonna say it hit the peak, but it's neared the peak of where retail can take it alone. The next big step for our portfolios is big money coming in. And that's gonna be the banks, it's gonna be these large institutions. And if you thought that they were gonna come in and just let crypto be the way it always was with no guardrails and no regulation, that just wasn't gonna be the case. They were gonna sink their teeth into it. They were gonna try to control it. That's what they do. But what I'm hopeful for, the reason why I'm not blaming Brian Armstrong, I'm not gonna say that. I just want the bill to pass. It's like, I do think that cryptocurrency can act like a Trojan horse in banks, in businesses, and in governments worldwide, where yes, they allow it to come in, and yes, for a time period, it looks like they have control. But let's not beat around the bush. Why are banks and governments able to just rip through people and destroy us financially? It's because they control the way money works. They can print it at any moment they want to. They're bailing out the banks, so the banks can spend terribly. But us as people, if we don't spend wisely, we go into debt, and all of a sudden we have a bunch of bad things happen. That's what happens when you have soft money, fiat currency, that they get to create the flow. If they adopt into Bitcoin and Ethereum and other harder assets, it'll go back to the times of where we were on gold standards, where you had to spend responsibly if you were a business, if you were a government. It adds accountability in a way we haven't seen for over 100 years now. I think there's still a world in which a Trojan horse situation happens. That's why I want the Clarity Act bill to pass. If it does not pass this summer, again, I think there's a genuine, real concern. We might have to wait not just a couple more months, maybe years before the next go round at it happens.
I got a couple clips here that I want to play. The first one is Trump receiving an award. And this will make sense in a second, but let's go to this first clip.
And because of his willingness to work literally around the clock to fix every issue, to solve all the domestic problems that we are facing in this country, tonight we have created a new award, the first ever America First Award. That's this beautiful golden statue here.
That I'm proud to be an American. They don't like the word war because you're supposed to get approval. So I'll use the word military operation.
All right, so you got that, and then you got to go into Trump's approval ratings right now. Yeah. Listen to this one.
So the president's right when it comes to military targets. However, the president is on the clock with the American people. New Fox News polling shows the president's approval rating taking a hit as gas prices rise from a month ago. 64% of registered voters disapprove of the president's performance on Iran. 71% of people disapprove of the handling of inflation. 66% disapprove of the performance on the economy. Now, all these are connected by oil, which can put pressure on increased prices. And that's why there's so much attention on the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, so a couple of points I want to hit on right now is all of that lining up to the situation that's happening in the market right now. We've got a wipeout underway. This, of course, is getting worse and worse as we speak. When you look at the S&P right now, Tim, and you wonder how far down could this pull back to, where do you see the S&P 500 going?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not going to have to pivot too much on this one, right? Sometimes I have to pivot when things change. This is something that we've been talking about on our channel for quite some time. Yeah. If you share my screen here, we had a target down here around 611 to 602 that I think is a very reasonable level. I actually have seen some analysts that I heavily respect talk about going sub 600, coming down closer to like 580. Of course, some people are going to post looking at 570. There's a big gap back here. But I told our community a while ago when the price of the SPY was still up closer towards 680, I said there's going to be a move down here towards 650. We ended up going to 645. I thought there'd be a little more of a bounce here, but of course, all the unrest still going on in the Middle East is going in and accelerating this. I have been telling my community, wait for 612, 611 area into this yellow zone. This has been here for quite some time. It's a former high from back here in February of 2025. This is only a 12% correction. The reality is a recession, which is maybe what we're currently in and we're working on finishing. It's not uncommon for those to go 20% to the downside, kind of similar to what we had back in March of 25. That would be closer to 555. So I'm not gonna right now call for 555. I still think there's a world in which we solve this sooner. But I've been saying now for months. I mean, go back into January, February. We need to pull back down here closer towards this 611 mark. And now people are starting to warm back up to it and saying, oh, yeah, 611 looking actually kind of likely.
Well, and the other concern we have right now, obviously, is what's next for Trump and Iran. Here's just a quick tweet on the final blow against Iran is setting up right now. You've got developing military plans, possibly even a ground force. I mean, there's all sorts of things. Carg Island's in play. You've got issues right now where this could put more pressure on the markets. Monday morning, here it is Friday. We always know what happens on Friday afternoon, and most likely it will happen again on Friday, and we'll be able to not play these markets through the weekend except for Bitcoin, which is trading, and we'll chart Bitcoin in a second, around 66K as we record. Do you think that, let's just assume that there's going to be a major strike yet to go. Do you think at this point, what would be the line in the sand for you? Would it be ground troops that would possibly push the stock market further down and Bitcoin to a sub 60? Do you think that would be the key thing that would have to happen?
So it's possible, and I think something people should know, again, what keeping everyone on their toes right now is 5 p.m. tonight, so here in just a couple hours, Donald Trump's going to go live. Is he going to come live and tell us that peace talks are going well and try to bring some stability in, which case we might see a small bounce over the weekend in crypto, which would lead towards a Monday morning bullish rally in the stock market? Or is he waiting to the stock market to close because he wants to deploy those troops, right? And he doesn't want the stock market to react to it, so he's hoping maybe a weekend operation that can be solved by Monday. Either way, though, I think that would cause Bitcoin to fall. But I go back and I tell people this. You look at times, people want to tell you that Bitcoin or crypto prices will collapse when oil rises. That's not true. Oil was rising all through 2020 and 2021 during the bull market. Same thing in 2016, 2017. Oil was rising, spiking, and we had a bull market. People want to tell you when inflation is climbing that we have a bearish movement. It's like, well, inflation was climbing all of 2021, and that was a bullish year for Bitcoin as well. It's not an issue. We like to pinpoint these little things. And right now it's, if we go to more war, we're going to have problems. No, it's not war. It's not inflation. It's not any of the actual details. It's the uncertainty of it all. It's the constantly being jerked around, and you never know what's happening next. So tonight when Trump goes live, is he going to give assurance? Is he going to back off of scary conversations that gives the markets more assurance, in which case prices go up? Or is he going to cause more chaos? Is he going to cause more uncertainty? But let's just say, Paul, he says that we're going to deploy troops. That'll cause bearishness initially, uncertainty. But if we get used to it, which nobody really wants to, but if we're used to what's happening and there's no new updates to it, and it's like, this is the objective, this is what's going to happen, we're going to be doing this, watch for markets to find some sort of bottom and start to rally despite the fact that we're still in a war. I don't think war is the end all be all. It's the uncertainty of it all that's keeping us down.
My concern is this. You've got Trump coming on this weekend. I think he's going to go negative. I think this is going to go negative and sideways.
I think so.
And I mean, because we haven't seen any real resolution come out of this yet. I think he is trying to put more pressure on Iran. This, of course, just continues to put pressure on the markets in general. And if this does extend into a ground war, if we get into a ground war, I fear that this is going to take longer. If in fact that does, I want to play a clip around this because I want to get your kind of opinion on where would you be bullish on an entry, depending on all these things happening right now. Here's Cudmore talking about this. Take a look.
I think that when we're on the other side of this conflict, it will likely be a great buying opportunity. We talked a month ago on this show about how we had an extraordinarily bullish macro environment for stocks. That was the setup for the last few months before the conflict. But the conflict is real, and we're not at the other side. And as you just said, Tom, only one side's really looking for an off-ramp. I don't know how the conflict's going to play out, but all the news flow would suggest that the base case assumption, unless you have some inside loop on the talks, is that there's going to be probably going to get worse before it gets better, which means I don't think we're at that buying opportunity yet because we have a lack of clarity. And in almost always in such scenarios, unless you're a very, very short-term trader, you're better off waiting till we know the problem's behind us and missing the first part of the bounce rather than trying to preempt it. The problem is, what if we don't get to the other side of this conflict in the next month or two? Then the damage to growth is much more material.
All right, so very much in alignment with where Cudmore is. I think it's a little bit later. Obviously, if we get into a much more lengthy conflict, then that changes everything, including price of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's jump to the charts of Bitcoin. If you look at kind of the comparison of where Bitcoin is right now, David Sachs stepping down, Coinbase putting up an interesting challenge here, still at the table, but at the same time, now we're seeing Bitcoin, of course, falling. Where do you stand on Bitcoin right now? Where do you like it to drop to for an entry?
Yeah, I want to address, I always like to do this. I know some analysts do not like doing this. They like to just move over when they've made a call that didn't come to fruition. I want to explain, for example, because I think last week when I was on your show, we talked about looking for prices up towards 76 to potentially 80K. We abandoned those here recently, last night, actually, after shooting up and hitting our first take profit level. Actually, I'll go and show you. These were the trades that we made in my group, right? Great long, great short, great long, great short. We got to our first take profit level, so we made money on this trade, but you can see it clearly curled over, came back down, gave us a small bounce on support, and then this morning it crashed through the support level. Now, this is really important, and even though I thought, and that's the key word, thought, that we would make a surge up back towards 76K, I was still telling people, hey, I think we make that move to 76K, and then we come back down, we lose the support, and we have our play to the downside. Turns out, guess what? Brian Armstrong decides to turn on the Clarity Act bill. Same day, David Sachs steps down. Same day, there's concern about Iran, the Iran war and the escalation there. It was a perfect storm to do what we knew eventually would happen, and that would be the break below this rising support wedge of a rising wedge pattern that are bearish patterns. Okay, so no technical analyst is surprised that now that we've lost support, we should be in a short position. I started to dabble a little bit even here this morning. I would really love, and I think there's still a world in which we could see a rebound closer back towards 68K. I'd love to add into this more, but I got some pretty high convictions now that this is the next leg down that we've been talking about for quite some time, back down here towards 53,000. The only thing that's keeping me at pause here, Paul, I've been saying I think 53,000 could be the bottom. I will be wrong if we don't see bullish divergence on the weekly chart. And what I mean by that, if you come out way out here, every single bull market bottom, every single bottom of the bear market that ends up being a bull market has had, there we go, I don't know, my RSI was loading, has had a form of bullish divergence. Most of them on the weekly chart, but at least on the daily chart, always. We don't have it happening on either one. What we would need to see happen, and this is bouncing all over the place here. Let me turn this off because I think that indicator is throwing me off here. What I need to see happen is a lower low in price action, but a higher low on the RSI. When that happens on the weekly chart, that will be my conviction that the bottom is in. Very similar. Go back over here to 2022. The RSI hit these extremely low levels in June of 22 when Bitcoin's price was hovering around 19,000, right? But of course, we would go down lower to 15, 15.6, 15.5, but the RSI put in a higher low during that same time frame. This is bullish divergence. I think we're looking for the exact same thing to happen. If it doesn't happen, if we put in another low on the RSI's weekly chart, all of a sudden, I go from saying 53,000 the bottom to now you probably are looking at 45 to 40K range and extending this bear market out until probably later in the summer, if not more so. So I'm still optimistic right now that we could bottom sooner than later. I'm still optimistic that we're seeing play out right now could give us this bullish divergence in the next couple of weeks. But I'm a day trader, and I've learned to not just choose something and say I'm going to follow this blindly. Adjust, adapt. That's the world we're in now. And so that's what I'm watching. Those are my if-then statements I'm watching to know when the bottom's going to be in.
Well, and one thing to consider, because you're right. Right now, even Cudmore kind of mentioned, it's a trader's market right now. But if you look at where we are and all of the things that are happening, you kind of gave a litany of that, what's going on with Clarity and Coinbase, which, by the way, Clarity looks like it is about to fall right here on Polymarket, down from 61 just in the last few hours. So maybe something's brewing right now to where Clarity may be struggling again. And again, if we miss our deadline here, that's another big knock on the market in general, much less Iran, much less what happens now with kind of the future of crypto under this administration with Sachs stepping down. So all of that happening at once starts to put a real problem. And then you throw this on top of it, and that is the potential of 0 rate cuts right here. So this is all the way right now pushing into March of 2027. This just seems like it is pushing into a very long, cold, deep crypto winter and maybe stock market winter heading into summer. What do you think?
Yeah, that is what the data shows. That's what the indicators are showing. That's what that CME price tool is showing. What I'll go back to is this is a whole market that is, without fail, they are always trying to shake out retail investors. They know that retail investors are extremely emotional in how we decide when to buy and when to sell. They know that we're very impressionable with all of the news. And they can't go out here throwing hard facts. It's always going to be throwing out these observations on the potentials of bad things happening. And that's why I go back to, why do markets fall? It's not because of actual details. If you knew for a fact, like if you could tell me right now, all right, we're not going to pass the Clarity Act in May. We're going to wait until October, right? If you just told me that, we could start rallying right now. If you told me right now, we know for a fact that we're not going to, the war of Iran is not going to end this weekend, but it is only going to take 1 more month. After 1 more month or 2 more months, give me the date, like July 5th. I know on July 5th, this war's over. The minute I become certain of the future, I feel more comfortable about how to operate. This uncertainty, this constant, hey, maybe we're feeling really good about things right now. Oh, never mind. Let's pull that rug out from under you. Now everything's really bad. Even the CME futures prediction saying now, oh, it's looking now like we're not going to get a single rate cut at least through March of 2027. Well, that's not guaranteed. That's just an opinion, but it's a very scary opinion that keeps us unrest in the retail world. When these things happen, it does mean we're probably about to dip. But I always look at these things and say, how calculated is this manipulation? Because we all know things can flip just like that.
Very quickly, yeah, for sure.
I wonder, I know not everything that's happening to us right now is pre-planned, but I would be surprised if there aren't a couple of pre-planned fiascos that are already happening that are made purposely to lower the prices of the stock market, lower the prices of the crypto markets. And the biggest reason why I'm on that conviction on the crypto side, and I say this 100 times, I'll say it again. I don't care if people say I'm just a recording machine that keeps saying it over and over again. This is the great adaptation. This is the grand shift where for 16 years, retail investors have controlled and been the biggest movers of crypto. Yeah. The big boys are here. But if you think that they don't want a healthy discount, a cheap level to get in before they get their piece of the pie, 100%. You're kidding yourself. They want these prices to be low. They will do whatever they can to keep these prices low until they've had their fill. And in this case, the Clarity Act, some of them can't even start deploying their trillions of dollars they want to put in until the Clarity Act bill passes. Yep. So they need this chaos. They need this stuff to stay low. The minute we're certain about the Clarity Act, the minute we know it's happening, prices will start to increase and go to the upside because certainty is here.
Yeah. Speaking of chaos, you look at where Ethereum is right now. We've got an upgrade brewing, even though at the same time we've had upgrades before. We haven't seen immediate impact on Ethereum. We have seen Ethereum rally in some cases. But when you look at ETH right now, which is the better play? Actually, I want to play 3 tokens. So you've got Ethereum, potentially Hype, which is done well when Bitcoin is not doing well. Right. And or Bitcoin. Which one would you look at trying to play in these volatile times right now?
Which would I play? And that's going to be an interesting question here. So with Ethereum, for example, very similar to Bitcoin here. Let me go to the daily chart so you guys can see it. Very extremely similar. It had the fake out to the upside. Ethereum had a good run here back on March 16th. But this is still a rising wedge pattern. I still think Ethereum wants to make its way at least back to 1,800. I also have some targets I'm looking for down here at 1,600. When it comes to hype, though, let me find my hype chart. I actually just put a video the other day on 3 coins that institutions / banks seem to be more interested in. And what you just said, hype is not just blindly following Bitcoin. Ethereum is following Bitcoin. Solana is following Bitcoin. XRP is following Bitcoin. Chainlink is following Bitcoin. Hype is not. The other two I'm looking at that are not following it would be Canton, and then the other one is BitTensor Tau. So those are my 3 coins. People can go watch that video. It's one of my, I just put it out yesterday on my channel. These 3 coins seem to be doing their own things. And one of the things that all 3 of them have in common is that institutions really, really do love them. Hype right now, yes, it's pulling back here over the last 3 days, but there's a good argument to say what all you're seeing happen on hype right now, while everything else is falling back, is we're just creating maybe a little bull flag or a pattern. Worst case scenario, we see some drip for the next couple of days, and you're maybe looking at a pattern, something along this line, right? So maybe we come all the way even back down towards 35. If we start to bounce here, though, and we're creating a pennant formation, let's see how this kind of plays out the rest of the way. You clearly have a downtrend here, a lower high, but are we starting to see, if we get a bounce today, could we potentially see a pennant formation happening where we're getting a rising level of support? So I'm going to continue to monitor this for now, but when I'm looking at hype and everything that's happening, why is hype doing so well? Well, it's one of the best DEXs out there trading in the crypto market, but it's also doing an extremely great job of trading the stock market. It is doing something that we're not seeing in the rest of the crypto space. So you ask me right now, for now, which is the most interesting investment, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or hype? I'm going to go with hype because people are trading it based off of the here and now fundamentals. Bitcoin and Ethereum are way more trading about future fundamentals.
Yep. All right, well, there you have it, guys. We're going to do a lightning round with Tim. This is where we get into a lot of detailed questions that are very fast and quick around our opinions on where we stand on certain things. I want to lead off real quick here. Too soon to declare Clarity dead, yes or no?
Yeah, way too soon. Way too soon.
Okay. Yeah, so we're still good. It's in the game. SBF won over more Democrats than David Sachs did.
Well, he did. He might have lost them all, but he did.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
But what's the point? The question is, because the answer is back to jail, or is he available? What? Yeah, back to jail.
Back to jail. Yeah, I'm with you.
You can't ever trust him.
Back to jail. Cynthia Lemus and Bitcoin Maxes secretly hate stablecoin yields.
No, I think she is a Bitcoin maxi and doesn't care as much about yields as others, but I don't think she hates them. I think she would side more with Coinbase if she had to. But she just wants to see the yield.
I think she hates them.
Passing. Okay.
Yeah, I think she's on the other side.
Okay.
Passing an unread. This is the thing that drives me crazy, is that we haven't even seen the text or the document yet. But passing an unread Clarity bill full of DeFi FUD, which could happen, content will unleash a negative sentiment tsunami and crash the market if that were to be the case.
No, because the majority of retail that would sell off that news are already gone anyway. This bill would bring in more adoption from institutions, so I don't think it would crash it. It would be a lot of negative people on X.
I'm in the middle here on this one. I'm not sure how it would play out because, again, it really depends on what is the DeFi FUD. If it's not anything major, even if it is anything in there is pretty bad. Who should replace David Sachs as crypto czar? You got Garlinghouse or Beast?
I mean, I'm going to go with Garlinghouse just because I think, A, he would be the one that wants the job. There's no way Mr. Beast wants it. But also, I just don't. Mr. Beast is entertaining. I don't think I'm going to take his financial advice too much on this front.
If yields are banned for Coinbase, go all in on Robinhood. Would you? Yes or no?
So effectively, you're asking is, instead of investing in Base, take all my Base and or coin. Sorry, coin.
Yeah, coin.
And then move to Hood. Put me in the middle. I would shift some. I wouldn't give up on Coinbase completely, but yes, that would be a win in the short term for Hood.
Yeah, I think it would be a win for Robinhood if they go that direction. Pam Bondi called the top of okay, all right. What do you think? Yes, no? Remember when
eventually we'll go higher, but yes, she called a short-term top. I think
we have you not seen the Dow?
It is. It'll go lower before it goes higher again. So let's say yes, she called the top.
All right, there you go. ICE funding should be rerouted to Crypto Strategic Reserve.
Gosh, this you get me in trouble. Listen, I don't know what I want to say here. The answer is no. It should not be refunded. Yeah, I'm just saying no. I'm just saying no and not talk about why. I'm just saying no.
You're not going to talk about why? Okay.
Unless you want me to get you and your channel in trouble, maybe. I don't know.
No, okay. All right. Well, let's still go there. Under which administration would crypto industry be more hated by regular citizens? Do you think right now it's more hated by regular people? I don't know that regular people really know what's going on.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
I also don't know if this is a completely fair question because I don't think Kamala was completely against crypto. I just think she would have treated it differently. Just probably in the middle. I don't think it would have made a major impact on people's view of crypto.
I'm in the middle as well. I don't think so either. Here we go. Time to short Canton.
Time to short Canton. Well, I do think Canton wants to pull back. So if you want to say scalp short, yes, but long-term swing, no. So
okay.
This is what you asked a day trader a question about trading. I'm trading two ways of trading at all times, short-term and long-term. Short-term, yes. Long-term, no.
Okay. I'll go yes. And then what would most obviously signal Tim Warden turning bullish again? 100x link videos or how to leverage videos?
Which would most obviously signal?
Once we
I won't be
channel,
putting out 100x videos until I'm certain the bottom is in. So let's go with 100x link videos.
Okay, I was going to say I think the 100x link is going to be good. That'll be the signal. Tim is all in, bullish. Get ready. Back up the trucks. It's coming down the pipe. All right, Tim Warren. You guys can check him out over on Tim Warren Trades over on YouTube. Very easy to do that, and hit subscribe right there. You guys will be there. Of course, Tim, thanks so much for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Paul.
See you, buddy. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.